This show is brought to you by Manscaped. Use the code AFTV for 20% off your order and free shipping at manscaped.com. Hi, and welcome along to a brand new show. This is called AGB Extra, All Guns Blazing Extra. We're here to take a look at the game, the Manchester United Arsenal game, the outcome. How did it go? What did you feel about it? And joining me is Mr. DT. The show brought to you today by Manscaped. I know you love that tie.
Why could you not warn me about that? I didn't know that you had recorded that or anything. It's
It is funny. I'll tell you what though.
How many takes did that, you have to go for?
One take.
And then Ty is there happily shaving his kiwi fruit.
But big up Manscaped. You know what? Did I give you one of their
Nah, boxes? You ain't sorted me out yet.
I'm gonna sort you out, man. Trust me. I'll tell you, it's all right.
I want to shave my kiwi fruit.
You shave your kiwi fruit, and you got to take care of your crown jewels, man. Yo, that's one area you got to take care of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, because you never know. It might accidentally come into use on a live stream one day.
Oh, don't start. Don't start, man. Listen, don't start, right? Because I'm laying off of that. I'm not trying to get into any trouble with anybody, all right?
Breathe.
Yeah. Mistakes happen, right? Now, let's move on. The game. Arsenal versus Manchester United. Yeah?
Yeah.
0-0. 0-0. But you know what? It wasn't a bore fest, wasn't it? I don't know. I haven't really spoken to like a neutral person yet to find out what they thought of the game. But to me, it was quite an entertaining 0-0 because both teams had chances to get a winner. We at the bar, Smith Rowe pulled a great save out of De Gea. Willian, I know you were saying on your interviews that, it come too early for him. He should have scored that. And then on the other hand, Cavani had a couple of chances for them. So it was a fairly even game. But, what did you make of it?
I've watched the game back. And now, obviously, we've slept on it and everything else. I look at it and, yeah, there is that disappointment still that we never picked up the 3 points, because I feel that in the second half, despite that one real big chance for Manchester United towards the end of the game, there was only one team that really looked like they wanted to win the game. In terms of, we were the team that were probing and trying to attack, whereas Manchester United just seemed like they were happy to get a draw. I think that they were the team that was kind of more in the mindset, just don't lose the game. Just don't lose the game. And I think that when you look at Manchester United against the traditional top six, shall we say, this season, I think that the pattern is kind of evident as to what they do. The only goal they've scored against, the traditional top six sides was the one goal they scored when they got slapped 6-1 by Spurs. They've drawn 0-0 with Chelsea, 0-0 with Manchester City, 0-0 with Liverpool, 0-0 with Arsenal. So if you look at that pattern, it's very evident who the team that are happy to get the point. It seems to me like Manchester United are making sure they don't lose any of those big games, and then they're able to pick up the points against the lesser sides in and around them and below the table, bar Sheffield United, of course. And it's worked for them. It's worked for them this season.
Yeah, but the thing is about it, right? Like, if you're a United fan today, surely you're thinking, you know what, we should be going for a game like that. They just lost to Sheffield United. And then they got a massive boost when that game started, right? Because or just before the game started. Because when that team sheet came out, and no Aubameyang, we knew already that he weren't going to be playing, but that's a big miss.
Yeah.
No Saka, right? No Kieran Tierney. I mean, James was in the studio. Somebody sent in he was so crestfallen that somebody sent in a comment in the comment section, and they said, you better call Samaritans for James. I mean, basically, we're missing our three best players, our best left back, and the guy that's been making everything happen from the back in Kieran Tierney. Our best goal scorer, Aubameyang, had that chance that had fallen to Willian. If that had fallen to Aubameyang, I'm sorry, he's burying that.
Yeah.
And our best player this season in Saka, who's been Mr. Consistent, won like, man in a match in about the last, God knows how many games. So if you're a United fan, you're thinking to yourself, you must be thinking to yourself, why didn't they go for it more?
Yeah. We weren't just missing one player that was key. Like you said, it was three big players. Despite what people might think of Aubameyang this season and his goal scoring return, he's still that one player. When you get one opportunity, he'll pull it in the back of the net.
He scored 2 goals in the previous game.
Yeah, and he's one of those players as well that Manchester United will not look at and go, you know what, he's not having the best of seasons, we can leave him. He's not a danger to us today. They will be worried about him big time. And, what that also allows us to do would be to have a stronger bench. So in the final 20 minutes, you can bring on players that can ultimately help change the game and get that winning goal if, as the scenario panned out, it was 0-0. But I felt that we didn't have that on the bench. We only had a real starting 11, which kind of shows how threadbare we are in that respect. And yeah, Odegaard, you're not expecting too much from him at the moment. It's going to take time. He's had 1.5 training session. I understand why he only got the minutes that he did. He's had that 1.5 training session. He's still getting to know everybody, and his time will come and everything else. So, yeah, those misses were huge for us. And before the game, there was the mindset of, you know what, I'm confident about today. I feel all right. And, even with the news before the game, like the day before the game, that Aubameyang was missing, there was still confidence within Arsenal because we were looking at training videos and everything, and we were going, Partey's training, Tierney's training, Emil Smith-Rowe's training. There was no inkling of Saka missing or whatever. So we were going, yeah, you know what? Bar Aubameyang, that's the strongest lineup. We're ready for this. Let's go. And then the team news comes out, and instantly you're going, boy, I think we might struggle today. We're in a bit of trouble here. So, yeah, in one sense, before the game, when the team news was read out, you would have took a draw. But on the balance of the game and everything, it feels like a bit of disappointment. And I feel that with Manchester United, it's like they haven't got the balls to, no pun intended, maybe if they use Manscaped, you know what I mean? Then they might have,
they haven't got the Kiwis.
Yeah, they ain't got the Kiwis. Forget the kahunas, they ain't got the Kiwis. Do you know what I mean? That's what it is now. That's the new saying. They haven't got the Kiwis. That's it. But it just feels like they have opportunities to go for it. Like when I watched their game against Liverpool at Anfield, Liverpool are a side that bad in form before they played Spurs, 2 centre midfielders in defence. And it just felt if Manchester United stepped up 10, 15% and really went for it, they could have won that game. And it's the same thing. You're playing against the team that, despite our recent good form, have just had most of our key players ripped out of the team.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to, the quotes from Roy Keane yesterday. Ripped into Man United, as he often does.
Yeah.
He says, these are his quotes, right? He was on Sky. He says there's different pressure there's different pressure where they were the last few months. They were getting the plaudits, but they were just sneaking up the table. They got into a good habit of winning football matches, even if they weren't playing great, particularly away from home on the counter-attack. But all of a sudden, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, when they've gone to the top and people are saying that they can win the league, can you compete with Man City? And it looks like the players have got a bit almost frightened of the challenge. It's as if they've gone, I don't think we're ready for that yet. It seems to be they're happy with second. So Roy Keane having a go there, I'm almost saying that they're frightened. Well, he said they're frightened, right? So, and what you're saying there, the stats kind of bear that out, and it's like they don't want to go, they don't want to come, because to me they should have been coming full pelt at us yesterday, especially when they saw the players that were missing. But they did it, like you said, they're content to just kind of not lose those games, you know. But listen, if you're a United fan, that's down to you. It showed me yesterday that, you know, I looked at that game yesterday and I'm like, starting 11 wise, there's not a big difference between us and Man United.
There isn't, and this is why I was so annoyed.
Squad-wise, there is. Squad-wise, there is.
Yeah. Squad-wise.
I mean, you look at their bench and that. You know, I mean, they can bring on Martial, and they had Matt. They've got Van der Beek. They've beat their bench is deep, and that's why they are where they are. Because even in games where they've been losing, they can bring the send for the cavalry, right? You know, we can't. Look at our bench yesterday. You know, it's no one on it really.
No.
So, but starting 11 wise, there ain't a lot in it, man. I mean, we've taken 4 points off them this season.
There's not, because at the end of the day, this is why I got so annoyed when I was watching your combined 11 and the disrespect, pure disrespect that, you know, people have towards our players. Let's get this right here and now. And I will say this to, you know, Flex. They had a back four of all Manchester United players. David De Gea in goal. Arsenal,
No chance.
Let me spell this out for you. Arsenal have the second best defence in the Premier League. Second best defence in the Premier League. 5 clean sheets in the last 7 games. And you have the audacity to not pick one Arsenal player. Yet, when Manchester United play and you watch all your fan cams and all your interviews and everything else, the one area that you're always criticising is your defence and the mistakes. And then you've got the cheat to say, I'm going to be unbiased. I'm going to come on and do a combined 11. But I want all Manchester United players. Shut up. All right? Because that's not unbiased. Okay? Because I watched that and I just wish that I wasn't shielding or anything and I was actually sat next to you, because they wouldn't have got away with none of that. Not having none of that. No Arsenal defender. I'll give you Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Because
Wan-Bissaka.
Our right back position, fine. I think Eric Bailly is Manchester United's best defender.
So do I. That's why I had my one. I said my one was Leno in goal, because I'm sorry, Leno's better than De Gea. He's proved it over the past few seasons. It's not just this season or over the past couple of seasons.
You see a save from Fred.
Brilliant save, right? And then I had a right back, Wan-Bissaka. I gave them Bailly, right? And then I put Gabriel, even though Gabriel didn't play yesterday, he's been excellent this season. He's only out of the team because of COVID. And he's come back from COVID, and David Luiz has been playing so well. And one of the things I like about Arteta, if somebody's playing well, they stay in, right? So, and then it's a dispute, I guess, between Tierney and Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw has been having a great season. But obviously, I'm going to edge Tierney. Yeah, there's not a lot in between. Tierney's been brilliant this season.
Tierney's been absolutely immense. So that is the one position you could kind of understand why they'll pick a Man United player and why we'll have an Arsenal player, because you've both got your pros and cons.
But you could argue that both centre backs should be Arsenal players.
Rob Holding's been brilliant.
He has. He was brilliant again yesterday. I think he was top of all the duels. I think he was top of all the clearances. His stats were brilliant in the game yesterday. Yeah. And you know, David Luiz got man of the match.
Yeah. There's this big myth that because Manchester United are where they are in the league, it automatically means that all their 11 players are better than ours. It doesn't mean that. You know, it's at the end of the day, when I look at the rest of the team, and I said Thomas Partey walks into that midfield. Don't even give me. Even remember before we played at Old Trafford and they were talking about Fred and all. Shut up. All right. Thomas Partey walks into any midfield. End of story. Then you can have Paul Pogba next to him. Then with the attacking sense, you can have Saka on the right hand side. That's not even a debate. Not even a debate. Not even close. Bruno in the 10. Rashford on the left, but then given his performance against us, that's debatable. And then Aubameyang up front, because he's still the better striker. And Cavani, look, listen, they were all crying out. They were all crying out for Cavani. You imagine if Martial missed those chances Cavani did.
Yeah. He's unbelievable.
You think the kind of abuse that he would have got, not from you know, the people we're speaking about, Flex or anyone, but I mean in general, people would have used that to rip into him. And it's not the first time Cavani's been like that against us. I remember when he played for PSG. And he had a pack full of chances. You remember that?
Yeah.
He just couldn't hit a barn door. And it was just, look, at the end of the day, I think that in terms of unbiased is an unbiased team. I think that's a good mixture. There's not a lot between Arsenal and Manchester United. They've been more
starting 11, not a lot. Starting 11, I think. But as I said, squad depth. That's when they are much better than us. They have got, and that's what we've got to.
That was Man United's full strength team.
Yeah, it was
full strength. No questions, no debates, no night. Now, put Tierney as a left back, move Cedric to a right back, put Saka on the right, Pepe on the left, and or Aubameyang. Put those players in the team, and I think we would have won that game yesterday.
So do I. Are you encouraged? Listen, I know that you've been quite vocal over the past few weeks, and even when Arteta was struggling, you were quite vocal in, you know what? Trust the process, give this guy time, he will come good. But are you starting to see now signs that he's come out of that really horrible period and now he's starting to show what he can do?
Yeah, he is. And
I thought, he's tactically, his tactics have been good recently, and there's been some good results.
Some very good results. And you got to remember, he's played Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 3 times now, and Man United have not even scored a single goal past us in 3 games under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer against Arteta. He's beaten Pep Guardiola, he's beaten Jurgen Klopp, he's beaten Frank Lampard. He's done everything that he needs to do. Won a trophy in there as well. Had a horrendous period, November and December. Not acceptable by Arsenal standards, not by a million miles. But I believe that there's a lot going on at the club that we need to take into consideration and, believe in the process. And I know it's a cliche now, the believe in the process and trust the process, or whatever way you want to look at it. But we need to, because Rome wasn't built in a day. And we've got a lot of problems behind the scenes at Arsenal. And we have had a lot of problems way back to Wenger and Gazidis, whether people like it or not. And this is not me digging out Arsene Wenger. I'm just looking at the root of where problems started. We've got Mustafi still on the books, which was to do with Gazidis and Wenger and everything else. We've just had to get rid of Mesut Ozil. We had the Mkhitaryan situation. Going into Emery, and we've had Socrates, and we've just had to cancel his contract. Guendouzi and the problems he's caused, and then you hear all of these things behind the scenes, that Raul Sanelli comes in and there's no real scouting of players. It's a little black book, and it's go get him, and it just completely unbalances everything. Then you had I forgot his name now, the scout. What was his name? Long hair.
Sven Mislintat.
Yeah, Sven Mislintat, who was the polar opposite and liked to do the scouting and finding the players and everything else. So there was a clash. Both of them end up leaving. Then you hear now that, what's his name? The chief negotiator that does all the deals has now left. And we're bringing in Richard Garlick from the Premier League. And there's so many changes at this club. And it takes time. And in the midst of a pandemic as well, when things are a little bit, all over the place. And, what I've been encouraged about this month is the way that we're just saying, right, not part of the plans, out the door. Right?
Yeah, because you know what? Get
out.
Yeah, like you said, Kolasinac, Socrates, Mesut Ozil, looks like Mustafi could go. And then even some of the youngsters, Reece Nelson looks like he's going out on loan. Willock today has been linked with a move to Newcastle. He could go before the transfer window, out on loan. Ainsley Maitland-Niles could go out on loan. He's going to trim the squad quite down, but he's sending those players out, and I think it's a sensible thing, especially like the Willock one. I'd love to see him go to like a Newcastle, because it could have the same effect as what Maitland-Niles, as what it had on Smith Rowe when he went to Sheffield. He went to Huddersfield. And all of a sudden you're starting to see players out there that obviously want to play for the manager. obviously are buying into what the manager's doing. Obviously, it all seems to be those players there pulling in the right direction. I loved the other day, even with the whole Aubameyang thing, where you could see the whole team were like, Aubameyang, we're here for you. We're with you. Even what the manager said. The fact that didn't come out until they were ready to tell us what the problem was. Nothing came out. There were all these little rumors going around in the background, and some of them are horrible rumors as well. Right? And nothing came out. They just kept it in-house. And then when Aubameyang had gone over and seen his mother and stuff like that, and he wanted to release the news, then it came out. Even those little things I found quite significant, because I'm like, maybe a couple of months ago we'd have heard about it straight away, or it would have leaked out. Or so all of a sudden, like you said, the process is a process. If you look up the word process, you know what I mean? It's not immediate. No. It's going to take time. You know, I've had you know, I do my transfer daily program and stuff like that, and I've had like people come on and say, "Oh no, Robbie, ain't a great window so far." Because I think so far it's been a very good window in getting rid of so many deadwood and bringing. I think Odegaard is an excellent loan signing. We don't know how it's going to work out, but it makes perfect sense. Matt Ryan, goalkeeper, perfect sense. But I've had people say, "No, we should get Buendia now, 40 million. We should get it." I'm like, yo. Look at this transfer window. Nobody has spent big money. I mean, it's 3 years to the day that we bought Aubameyang in for £56 million. I doubt even £56 million we spent in the whole window so far. Because everybody's just doing loan moves. It's a pandemic. It's changed the window right across Europe. All you're seeing is loan moves, swaps, you know, players that are out of contract, maybe bought in on a tiny fee, you know. So it's a different window. So I'm encouraged by what I've seen happening, and I think the fact that we're disappointed in only a point against Man United, you know, yesterday shows that the team's made a lot of progress since, you know, like you said, October, November last year.
Massively. And, you know, going back to the whole transfer thing as well first is you're not going to pay £40 million for Buendia. I love the guy. I think he's a brilliant player. I've said to you multiple times that I think that he would be great for what we need. But you're talking about £5 million less than Thomas Partey. Come on now. Let's be realistic about this. Arsenal ain't just going to go out there and just do it. Arsenal are looking, you know what? What do we need? Fill the gap for the moment. Odegaard, does it work? Won't it work? Well, there's no obligation. So it either does or it don't. And if it don't, then you send him back. And then you can really go for somebody in the summer when it's much more clearer and able to be done, and clubs are more likely to release a player, shall we say, because they're not in the middle of the season, especially not Norwich City, who are chasing coming back to the Premier League. It's absolutely never going to happen. So what I like, though, is that Arsenal have had a very clear plan this January, and they've told us this plan. We're going to get rid of players, and then we can look to bring players in. And even though this was clearly said, instantly, all you saw was this. Oh, it's the middle. There's X amount of days left. What's going on? What's it? Arsenal have told you very clearly, we're getting rid of the players, and then we can look to strengthen in certain areas that we need if and when. Slowly but surely, we started to get rid of the players. And they just think it's as easy as going, you know what? Here's your contract. Rip it up. Bye-bye. See you later. It don't work like that. You can't just terminate someone's contract. You know, not unless there's like gross negligence or you've disciplinary of some sort. You can't just rip a contract up. You've got to come to an agreement. And Arsenal are basically saying to so many of these players, we know how much we paid on them. We know what their wages are, but we ain't getting nothing. We need them out of the squad. Terminate. They're literally just saying it's for the better of Arsenal in the future. Get rid of them. Get them out of the door. Mikel wants rid of them. Get rid of them. And then we get rid of them. And then the Matt Ryan thing, like that come out of nowhere. Like, and it's, you look at it and you say, all right, I feel a little bit more confident with him as an understudy if needed, because he's got Premier League experience, full international for Australia, everything else fine. Odegaard, we explained that, and the reasoning behind it makes sense. And then the only issue now for me is probably cover at left back with Tierney with these little niggles here and there.
What do you think? I was going to ask you about that. So today we're hearing Van Arnold at Crystal Palace, a possibility. Would you take him? Ryan Bertrand's another one.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get Bertrand. I don't think you're going to get Bertrand from Southampton, to be honest with you. Van Arnold, I watched him in the game yesterday, and I don't think that would be a bad backup at all.
He's a decent player, man. He's a Premier League experience, you know, on a short term. You know, I think the Van Arnold thing, they probably, sounds like they might have to buy him, but maybe a small fee. But he'd be a good backup.
He would be. And look, at the end of the day,
decent, good at free kicks.
Look, Cedric is a good stopgap, should we say. Can do a couple of games here or there. But God forbid, Tierney's out for a month, 6 weeks, whatever it is. You can't ask Cedric to play there every single week because it takes away something from our game and that attacking threat down the left-hand side. And then the other flip side to that is, what do you do? Do you say, all right, Saka's got to go there because he's the only natural left-sided player that can play left-back? But then you do that and you take away everything that he's worked hard to do in an attacking sense. I don't mind Saka having to cover one game or something if needs be. That's understandable. Cool. There might be a time where, you know what, just today, fill in. Cool. But you're talking 6 weeks or so, or
and Tierney, no, let's look at his injury record. You know, much as we love him and he's been brilliant for us, his injury record's been quite shocking since he's come to Arsenal. So you never know what could happen. You can't take no chances in that area. And I feel that, you know, that's the one player position that Arsenal need to fill before the end of the transfer window. They've got to get a left back in. And I'm looking at Van Arnold as well. And I was saying Van Arnold would be, it makes sense to me. If he's available, that makes sense. He's not been getting a lot of game time at Palace. They've been playing at Tyrick Mitchell. He's an experienced player. Well, he's played for Sunderland. He was at Chelsea. You know, he knows the Premier League inside out. And he's not bad. He's not bad as a backup. You know what I mean?
And I think
you wouldn't feel uncomfortable with him in there.
I actually think that, you know, with all due respect to Crystal Palace, I think that given, what is he, 30 now?
30, yeah.
30. So I think that given one last opportunity to go to a club like Arsenal could be that big incentive for him to say, listen, I might never, ever get this chance again.
Yeah, and look how many games. Look how many games we got, you know. Game again on Tuesday, game at the weekend, and then we got the Europa League kicking back in.
Yeah.
You know, anything could happen with injuries and things like that. We've got to, you know, I mean, in the summer, that's the big task, is to get that squad on point. But for now, we can see this transfer window in January has all been about loans, very cheap signings, you know, teams looking at players where their contracts are nearly up. You know what I mean? Those are the players in vogue right now. The players where their contracts are running out. They're the players. I mean, Mustafi, look, he could. I mean, a lot of people were laughing over this when I first mentioned this a few days ago. He could end up at Liverpool because
I don't want him there.
You don't want him there?
No. Do you know what it is? Yeah.
He could be. He'll have that medal and he'll be going like that.
Mate.
See Arsenal fans?
Yeah. Listen. You see what? Right. You see him. Yeah. This is the thing with Mustafi. Mistakes galore in the guy. We've seen some calamitous stuff. But towards the back end of last season under Mikel Arteta, he was very, very good. And then when he got injured in the semi-final against Manchester City, everyone was gutted because they were like, oh, no, he's been so good, etc., etc. So I'm sitting there and thinking, you know what? Jurgen could get something out of him.
Listen, remember, there was a period when he was him and Koscielny.
And we went unbeaten when he first joined.
Yeah. So he's that type of player. He could give you like 6-7 good games.
Yeah. And
then he'll fall off again and he'll be but
not for me, man. Send him as far away as you possibly can, man.
But he could end up at Liverpool. And this is what I'm saying, you know, that just shows you the nature of this window. I don't think last year, you know, even if there was a crisis going on at Liverpool with centre-backs, that they would have had any thought at all in their mind about getting Mustafi.
Do you know
But
what?
that's the nature of the window.
Yeah. Do you know what I like as well about Arsenal at the moment is that a lot of our decisions are starting to take shape and be vindicated. And there's always a lot of questions when you bring players in or keep someone, contracts, whatever it might be. But we've all sat there and questioned, why did we sign Cedric? What's he been involved for? What's he here for? Over the last 3-4 weeks, he's starting to show a side to him where you go, okay,
Been excellent.
It's justified why we bought you now. Consistency is the key. Obviously, 3-4 weeks is not good enough. We want to see another 3-4 weeks, then another 3-4 weeks. Consistency. But you're now looking and going, okay, I get it. I understand. Rob Holding, start of the season, everybody was going, why did you stop him going to Newcastle? What's going on there? He's this, he's that. I've criticised some of his performances. I'm an angel. I'm not trying to make out that I've praised every player in the world. But now you're looking at it and going, justified why you were kept on and why you've got yourself a new contract. You protected his value. First and foremost, homegrown. There's a lot of teams in the Premier League that would love a Rob Holding right now. Let's be real. David Luiz at the moment had a lot of stop-starts with injuries and everything else. But in recent weeks, when we've lost Gabriel and everything, and we've needed a bit of experience, shall we say, it's shown we need that experience.
Any game, right? And I've been saying this for a while. And I said, the other day again, I was battling with some of our fans there, and I love opinions all the way around. But my opinion is, currently, I would be looking to, at the end of the season, extend his contract for another year. Because I feel that we need 5 centre-backs, but one of them needs to be a very experienced guy with, right? So I'm like, we've already got that very experienced guy, and that's David Luiz. And I think what I've noticed with him, when it's a game with physical battles involved, he's very good. The other day against Newcastle, up against Andy Carroll, and he loves the physical battle. And that's why when I saw the team yesterday and they were playing Cavani, I was like, yeah, he's not as good against your Rashfords running at him and stuff. We know he can't. But physical battles, big, players up against him. Listen, he's not your starter, but as a backup, he's a decent player to have around.
Yeah. Listen, we were saying in the podcast this week when we were going through our 1 to 11, and I picked David Luiz in there. And I said, because I felt that Manchester United were going to play Cavani. And if anybody knows Cavani, it would be David Luiz from their time at PSG together. So as it transpires, it worked out because, David Luiz was one of the best players, and Arsenal gave him man of the match. Sky gave him man of the match. He was excellent. Absolutely excellent. Just don't take free kicks again.
Yeah, stay away from free kicks, man, please. There's one bit of horrible bit we got to touch on right from the game yesterday. Racist abuse again. For Marcus Rashford, after all he's done, right? It just goes to show, as a black person, it just goes to show, it don't matter what you do, there's some people out there, they just look at it and say, no, you this, you that. Racial abuse, it seems to be the regular thing, especially in recent weeks. A black player has a bad game, he gets racially abused. This got to stop, man. It's absolutely disgusting what's going on at the moment. You know what I mean? You've got players taking the knee every game, and it's still that doesn't seem to resonate at all with some of these racists out there. They're like, I don't care.
Look, this is what I was trying to touch on earlier on, and this is not. I'm not gonna call them even Manchester United fans because we've all got it within we've all got it within our fan bases, shall we say, where somebody out there will just think it's acceptable to send the stuff that we've been seeing over the last week. And this is what I was trying to reference to with Martial and Cavani. If Martial was playing and he missed the chance that Cavani missed at the end, you could guarantee that he would have been sent racial abuse. 100 million %. Some of the stuff that I saw sent to Martial's missus was absolutely disgusting. Like, it's not even humane. Like, where does that come out of your mouth to
Look at all that Rashford has done, right, recently that's transcended football, right? And still, in the eyes of the racists, you're just another N. You know what I mean? You're nothing.
Yeah.
Right, and they still feel that they can talk to this guy like he's
Do
a piece.
you know what?
And it's time now to, you know what I mean, I want to see when people do these sort of things, complete and utter ban from all social media, and start looking at when it's these serious things like that, start looking at the police and everybody getting involved. I mean, it's the only way you're going to stop it. I know the difficulty they're going to say is controlling it all. A lot of times, sometimes some of these comments that are coming in are not from this country as well. That's happening a lot as well. Sometimes it's not always people over here, it's people from, but you can still, get their IP address, and say, right, I mean, we've located your IP address, and sorry, mate, there's no more. You're no longer on the grid. You're no longer on the internet.
Yeah. No, look, the one thing, there's so many debates over how we can stop it. I think first and foremost is like the most common thing that I've seen lately is the use of emojis and the monkey. And that seems to be, now this might be the tiniest little thing to eradicate this, but maybe delete the monkey emoji out of, so that nobody can use it anymore. Like you will obviously have to have the database to get the emojis and everything else, but maybe take away that side. It might seem, because I know what that monkey emoji is. It's like the phrase cheeky monkey. Yeah, which is just a common phrase that everybody uses. Nothing racial about it, but obviously it's being used to direct towards black people. So maybe take that away. Even as far as banana emojis, I know it's
look at the world's come to.
I'm saying as a starting point, because then that takes away that one side of things. The next thing is a whole bigger thing in particular, which is identification, verification, that sort of stuff for, social media sites. And I know some people are saying, but what if your data gets into the wrong hands or this and that? It's no different to signing up to betting sites or these kind of things where all your details are there. They have certain things in place to make sure that your data is safe. And I just feel that it's very easy to start up accounts, especially on Twitter. Twitter's the worst in that respect.
Yeah.
Where you could just be anonymous and just start up multiple accounts. One gets deleted, you got another one. Deleted, another one. Deleted, another one. And
it's ridiculous. And as I said, the thing that I don't understand is you can locate someone's IP address and just lock it off. And I know people have said before, well, what if in that household, that was a young kid who did it, right? And then the rest of the family has to suffer. Well, you know what? Then they'll get him in line. Right, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, something seriously has to be done about this now. Because I'm really getting fed up of it, and we've had so many incidents of it over the past week.
Yeah, the past week. Do you know one of the biggest problems as well with one of the biggest problems with Twitter, right? Is because I get given abuse online, yeah, and it can be about my missus, my kids, my dead brother, all these type of things, yeah. Disgusting things, and people will sit there and go, yeah, but you always give it to people, and I'm like, I'm giving it football banter.
Even if football banter is one,
if I banter your club and say that your club is shit or whatever it is, and you feel the need that the only way you can respond to me is by mentioning my deceased brother or my missus or my children, that says more about you than anybody. And the problem with Twitter is that when you go and report this, and you send it, it's all generic, it's all computerized. Some of the disgusting stuff that I've been sent, and you send it to Twitter for a report, and you get an email back, and it says, we have reviewed the content you reported, and we don't find it breaks our guidelines. And I'm sitting there like, hold on.
It's ridiculous. How do you think it feels? Just like with me, where you'll just have a little banter.
Some of the stuff.
You'll have a little banter again, like you said, a little banter about football, a little back and forth, which we all do, which is we all love. right? And then someone's come back and called me a nigger, right? Because of that. Well, what, you know what I mean? So something has to be done now, seriously, because as I said, in the last week alone, there must have been about four. What was it? Twenzabi at Man United, Martial. There was a Romain Sawyers, West Brom. I think there's a Reece James, Chelsea, a QPR player, and now Rashford. And if you're going to do this to Rashford, everyone's a target. Well, we already everyone knows them. Honestly,
I've seen some of the stuff. I've seen some of the personal messages that you get on AFTV's account. I've seen some of the stuff that's out there in the domain. And I think only on a couple of occasions you may have seen something racial towards you. And you've gone, you know what? No, I'm going to blast you up. I'm going to put you out there for the world to see right now. And I'm going to show what a racist pig you are. And I think you've only done that on a couple of occasions.
I've only done it on a couple of occasions because a lot of times I'm just like, I'm not even going to engage.
You know what the worst thing is? Do you know what the worst thing is, Robbie? And this is probably the worst part of society. And like, I'm not, like, everyone's got their own comparables in terms of it, but your racial abuse and the abuse I receive about my brother or my missus or whatever now, it's now become normal to just see it and go, all right.
Yeah. And that's when it's, I remember when I done my documentary and I said, that's when things have got bad, but you just accept it. But now I think with some of when it's hitting some of these high profile footballers, this is a chance hopefully for us to do something about it. We're just going to end now quickly. Obviously, the game against Wolves. I'm looking at Wolves. They're 14th in the table on 23 points. They're really slipping. They had another defeat yesterday to Crystal Palace. We go away to Wolves. It will be tough. It's always tough there. But Wolves are under a bit of pressure. This is a chance. Newcastle, hopefully we can get a couple of those players back. I think we're still going to be no Aubameyang in it because he's quarantining. But a chance to go to Wolves and get 3 points before a very difficult game at the weekend against Villa, who had a good victory yesterday, although bloody hell. Some of the decisions in that game I found hard to believe.
First and foremost, the handball. And then the fact that you then give a hand offside for the equaliser. In the
handball, right? The handball, the guy's got both his hands out like this. I'm sorry, I've never seen a more obvious handball. Honestly, the handball, I don't know what, I keep saying that, I don't know what handball is anymore.
What I will say, you see, because it was the Aston Villa player's backside, weren't it, that they were comparing it with? You're lucky that weren't Lacazette. Because he would have been onside. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I look at that and I just sit there and I'm like,
you're crazy, isn't it?
Really? Like, come on, man. Like, at what point can you use your common sense? A referee could have looked at it and seen that it's like this from the sleeve area or whatever it is and gone, well, the ball's... Just use your brain, man. Use your brain. And
it's crazy,
it's a perfectly good goal. And the other's a penalty. The other's his hands out.
Yeah, obvious penalty, man.
They're saying it hit his thigh first and went up onto his hand. And it's
penalty.
Your arms are in an unnatural position. Unnatural position. It's like our game. What was it? Was it a not Crystal Palace? Was it a Southampton game in the cup where the guy handballed it up here and we didn't get a penalty?
Listen, the game yesterday, right? Bruno Fernandes puts his studs down the back of
Granit
Xhaka's Achilles. VAR looks at it and does nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Honestly, and then VAR will look at an innocuous headbutt. It weren't even a headbutt. Listen, I'm not saying he shouldn't have been sent off Pepe, and they send him off for that. But the guy put his studs down the back of the man's Achilles.
Roll reverse that.
He's nowhere near. He's nowhere near the ball.
Yeah, roll reverse it, Robbie.
The ball is in front of Granit Xhaka, a couple of yards in front of him, and he's running with it. And the guy runs and puts his Achilles down the back of him, and he doesn't even get a yellow card.
Yeah.
These referees, they're useless.
I told you, VAR is good technology if it's put in the right hands.
Yeah.
But
I think they should just make VAR just run the game. Have no referees. Tell them to stay at home.
Maybe.
Let them stay at home and let the computers just do it.
Yeah, and then
You know?
what you do is you put like a little poll up for each incident, and everyone can press the red button at home and vote.
Right, who's gonna? Will we beat Wolves? Yes or no?
It's a big opportunity, massive opportunity. They're going through a bad run at the moment. I believe they're 20th in the form table at the moment. They're really, really poor.
14th in the league.
No excuses. Got to go for the 3 points.
We beat them last year away.
Beat them last year. Use the fact that there's no fans in the stadium to our advantage, because it's normally a very hostile place to go. And prey on their weaknesses. Go get the 3 points, because Villa's going to be a tough game.
Tough game.
And then we got Leeds, Man City, Europa League starting, and
big month.
Big month, man. Big month. And start as we mean to go on, man. Let's have a decent month of February like we did January, because bar the cup defeat, it was a very, very good January. Okay, well, DT, thanks very much. Thanks for everybody for tuning in and watching AGB Extra. This is a brand new feature that we're going to be doing every fortnight. Don't forget Manscaped. If you want to get some of their products, excellent products, the link's in the description. Use the code AFTV and you can get over 20% off, up to 20% off. Link is in the description. And we got to go by showing this again. This show is brought to you by Manscaped. Use the code AFTV for 20% off your order and free shipping at manscaped.com.